Why so many guys on the move at BYU? It is that time in the world of basketball. What about Jazz guys on the move? What should the Jazz do with the free agents Kevin Love and Jusuf Nurkic? Eric says, keep Nurk on a reasonable contract and make Love an assistant coach. Joshua says, Nurkic, if it's less than $8 million a year, Love at less than $5 million. If not, let him walk. Yeah, I don't think they can spend $13 million on those two guys. Or 12 if you want to bring them in at a slightly lower number. Neil, keep Nurkic, retire Love. Vinny, we need Nurkic. He'd be awesome to lead a second set of players. 3 triple-doubles in 3 games. He scores, rebounds, and plays defense. Keep him, all caps, exclamation marks. I assume they're both gone. Am I up in the night, PK? You'd love to tell me I'm up in the night.
No, I think you're up in the morning. It's only 7:52.
There it is.
Well, I think that under the circumstances that them being free agents, and Nurkic had a good season. I don't think you can deny that. The nose got in the way, but they had to come up with a reason, and the nose provided it. The nose knows. And with that in mind, I would think that there would be some teams that would be after him. You know, he's only 31 years old. Doesn't it seem like he's been around for 15 years in the NBA?
He has been. It does seem like he's been around for 15.
Right, but he is. I looked it up yesterday, just because that was a topic of discussion, obviously, and the players were talking about it. 31 years old. It's not that old. So what is going to be the value for him on the free agent market? That's what they need to see. You know, a lot of the players, and I appreciate this, they talked about how much they liked those two guys as the older guys on the team. Love being substantially older. He's 37 years old. I don't know how much he's going to be able to contribute at 38. You look at Joe Ingles, who I think is 38, and he was on the team for Minnesota, but he rarely played. But, he's still got NBA money, and maybe Love can contribute. There's a lot of ways to contribute to winning. It isn't necessarily what shows up in the box score, obviously. But I don't want them to bring them back because they were nice people. That's great that they're nice people, and ultimately that's the most important thing in life. We all should take that as examples and try to be nicer, better. Me at the top of the list, no doubt about it. I want them to bring them back if it's cost effective and they think they can help them win. If it's cost effective and they think they can help them win, then yes. If they believe that they can have money better spent elsewhere, well, they're going to be good guys and they're going to survive either way. These guys have moved around now a number of times, and the thing about it is they completely understand the situation. They know that this is a business. They've been through it multiple times, literally had to move all over the country, and in the case of Nurkic, all over the world, obviously, because he's not American, and he's just fine wherever he goes. So they wouldn't be offended by it, but if it's cost-effective and management believes they can help the team or one of the guys can help the team, whatever it might be, bring them back.
To your point, Nurkic has played for 5 NBA teams now. It hasn't always gone well, and I do wonder if he'd stay somewhere for a little less money. So what is the market going to be like?
Possibly.
How much money is out there? But if he can get veteran exception money somewhere and big guys, he can score it. He can rebound and pass. So I expect he's going to get a better offer, and he's going to take it. And
that very well could be.
Better, because the Jazz are starting to get painted into a little bit of corner here, and we'll see what number Walker Kessler gets, and then they'll have to pay Keontae a year later, and
the league needs to do away with that stuff. We're going to prevent you from being as competitive as you want. Oh, but my gosh, you're tanking over here, so we're not going to allow you to be as good as you want to be. Mm-hmm. And then when you're not as good as we want you to be, we're going to fine you.
Right. If you're too good, it's a problem. If you're too bad, it's a problem. What we need is a lot of parity and mediocrity.
That makes a hell of a sense, as what my friend once said to me.
Okay. Just acknowledge that was your problem, though. You did that. You were winding him up. You knew you were winding him up. And then you burst out laughing when you got the results of you winding him up. It was about you, PK.
I do not plead anything but. And all these years, I remember it later and still laugh about it. That makes a hell of a sense. He got all fired up, and he got his tongue in the way instead of a hell of a lot of sense. That makes a hell of a sense. And me and the other guy who was with me, both guys I played high school ball with, we laughed hysterically, which was the point.
That was Three high school baseball players sitting in the dugout looking for a laugh. In this case, in a car looking for a laugh, but same thing.
Right, yeah.
It's just an extension of the dugout.
My sister, who's many years older than me, had lent me, I had to watch her dogs, and in exchange, she let me use her Barracuda for the week. I think they went on a California vacation. So, we were driving around. And so I had the cool. That was like the 1 week in my whole high school career that I had the cool car.
I think the thing with Nurkic, 11 points, 10 boards, 5 assists, those are pretty good numbers. He can play. He can play for backup money. He can get good money doing that. So I think he's probably gone. But you and I were having a conversation. It's funny you bring up Joe Ingles, because when you and I had the conversation about Joe talking about playing one more year last time we had him on, we had both looked at his numbers and how he's getting used, and it's like it doesn't really seem like it. Clearly he brings something to the mix of personalities, and we've seen those personalities clash on the bench. And clearly Joe brings something they need. And it isn't the three-point shooting and the passing that Jazz fans loved when he was, 30 years old and in his prime.
Yeah.
But he clearly brings something to the locker room, because the numbers don't suggest.
Well, the DMPs, that's all the numbers are.
Yeah, right? There's no way he should be. So and he knew. I mean, they clearly had conversations. Yeah, I think I'd like to play. Oh, you knew, Joe. You're couching it, and we get it, but you knew. So I don't know, maybe Nurkic, because he has been places and he hasn't. I mean, chronically, the Phoenix thing didn't go well for him. He didn't like that. So maybe he's at a point in his career where I will take this role and this money, even though I could get a bigger role and a bigger money somewhere else. The question is always how much of a bigger role and how much more money. So it's hard to evaluate that. I could see where he'd be back, and I can see where it'd be a good idea to be back. But it just looks like, having watched him play this year, he's got too much in the tank, and somebody's going to give him more.
And we'll have to see to the level of more, because this man, I should say, has been around, and I would think he would recognize a good situation. And, hey, I know Will Hardy was reluctant to put a number and talk playoffs, but Keontae George did, and everybody knows it's out there. Whether you say it or not, it doesn't matter. The rest of us will say it. I'll say it, that it has to be. I appreciate what the Mammoth did last year going into this season, where so many of them openly talked about the playoffs. They achieved the goal. Good for them. And the Jazz, they didn't have the steps to winning that the Mammoth have had the last 3 or 4 seasons, obviously going back to when they were in Arizona. And they're going to have to take a quantum leap that usually isn't there. But we all know, as you've pointed out many times, Tim Lacombe has pointed it out many times, that this team was a 22-win season. Well, the records will reflect it, but we all know that if they played to win 82, they would have won far more, at least 10, if not more. Who knows?
Right.
Especially after the trade, if Jackson could have been healthy. And so with that in mind, maybe the leap that they need to take isn't near as big, because they weren't as bad as a 22-win season reflected, and they needed to do that to keep the pick because of the Favors trade, blah, blah, blah. We all know that story. So Nurkic can look at the situation and say, hey, I can have a backup role, and who knows, Kessler missed the whole season, essentially, what will happen. And I don't even know he may not even know what's going to happen with Kessler. And so I can be here. Maybe I take a little bit more, but I'm going to be in a winning situation. Will Hardy obviously knows me. I know Hardy. We're both ends are comfortable here. Why mess with something good? And you stand to be on a team that is going to win together for the first time. And I think there's something special and bonding about that, winning together for the first time, because most of these guys outside of Jackson and Nurkic, I assume, has been in the playoffs, and Love, obviously, if he comes back. But the core hasn't been. Markkanen has never been, and obviously the younger guys haven't been. So winning together will produce a level of excitement, right, that we see when teams go. Now, Stockton hit the dramatic shot, but suppose it wouldn't have come down to that. I think they still would have celebrated far more vigorously the first time they went to the final as opposed to the second time they went to the final, right? It's a big deal when you win something for the first time, and that's what this team will do. To what extent remains to be seen, but they will do it next season.
That is a plausible scenario, and it's the scenario that keeps him here, and it could happen. It could happen. I just think his production is going to get him more money somewhere else.
Well, he has to decide whether he wants it.
Right, exactly. So we'll see. And we'll have to see. I mean, other teams, he probably isn't going to be the first move. If on your first move you got to spend more money to get accomplished whatever you need to accomplish, then you got less for the second move. You know, if you're not at the top of the market, sometimes you wait your turn before the offers come your way, and they will come his way. But when and how good will they be? And, you know, and maybe the big money is with a team that's terrible like the Wizards, and he didn't want to put himself through that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they would go after big money after somebody like that. But I get your point. But you're just throwing out a hypothetical, so I understand that. You're not saying it's literal, but yeah, he has to see. And if he decides to go because he's in a better situation with more cash, more power to him. That's what it's about, man. Most of us would probably do the same thing. Yeah,
you go to work to make money. So if you can go make the most money, you can't really blame him. When we come back, Mike Folta, radio play-by-play, voice of the Utah Mammoth. 2 games left, 1 point. 1 point in front of the LA Kings in the race to get that first wild card spot, and what looks like on paper a much more favorable matchup with the Pacific Division champion. We'll talk with Mike next with the Jets looming tonight. Stay with us right here on The Zone.